But my caution to clients is that shouldn't be your primary insurance, because your job situation can change. The company benefits can change from year to year. And you're never any younger, and you're not usually healthier than today.
Welcome to Wisdom Beyond the Womb. I'm Trisha Harris with Trisha Harris Photography, and today I sat down with Alex DeVault, a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Hi, Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Trisha. How are you?
Wonderful. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
I'm so excited you're here today with us, Alex. You're the first male to be on the series, so this is great because I think dads might be watching in secret, but to see a dad like yourself come aboard and share some wisdom is huge. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's an honor. We were privileged to be asked to join this, and no pressure.
No pressure. No, you're just giving us insight because we need insight, right? And so you're in the financial realm area. And so, man, does adding a child to our life change financial situations? So tell me about some of the changes that come with adding a child that people might not be aware of, or they are and just forget.
Yeah, I think what happens most of the time when I talk with my clients about that is to just say, ask questions of yourself. Okay, what's life going to look like different? Are we going to be able to go out to eat as much? What's the budget going to look like? Do we need to update our insurance at work? Do we need to, adjust any of our other financial things? And it's hard when you first get pregnant and you first have a kid and life is just chaos, right? And then all of a sudden your friends come out of the woodwork and all the people start asking, well, what are you going to do for college? And where are you going to send them to school? And how are you going to pay for this? And the weddings. I hear that all the time with 4 daughters. How many weddings do you have to pay for, Alex? So then you just have to sit down with your spouse and say, okay, well, what do we want to accomplish? And I think that's a big key to it, is to say what is important to us, and to not let my bias, right, influence my client's decision, right? So if I'm not concerned about paying for my kids' college, but they are, then I need to focus on, college. But if I'm focused on paying for weddings and other people are like, that's not in our game plan, then you don't have to worry about it. So just ask yourself those questions, I think, is the first step in the right direction. And then partnering with someone who understands how all those things kind of integrate together is a real key.
Yeah, it's important that spouses and partners have those conversations together, right?
Yes.
And what are some things that you would remind them in that beginning stages to talk about together?
Yeah, so some of it's kind of cliche, if you will, things that we think, oh yeah, we should have talked about that, but we don't often, is life insurance. So, when you have to update that for yourself, maybe for your children, depending on family history and things. You want to look at, changing the beneficiaries on all of your accounts, because now you've added a new child. God forbid something happens. You don't want to leave one child left out of the, estate plan. And also, like, who's going to take care of your kids if something happens to you? Because we've all experienced in some capacity a family who, mom and dad are sadly no longer in the picture, and the kids are kind of left there. And the last thing any of us want is for the state to take over,
Yeah.
and run things for our kids. So naming those people. So I think those are hard conversations to have, but important ones to talk about, and definitely with your spouse. I would never recommend that one person
Handle it.
make those decisions and just inform the other one. It should definitely be a joint effort there.
Well, we always hear the term, though, babies are expensive. So how do you help people navigate that?
Yeah, so my wife Lily and I have always told our friends, if you wait till you can afford to have kids, you're never going to have children.
Very true.
Because you're just going to spend your money on yourselves because you're used to it. So they are expensive, but I think there's ways to just integrate that into your normal, life. So at the beginning, they don't eat a huge portion of your budget for food.
Okay.
And then as they continue to grow and progress, you just make small adjustments, here and there, but focusing on the budget and having something written out that says, okay, hey, we've been spending $1,000 on food. Now we need to up that to $1,200 in the beginning, $1,500, $2,000 when you have 5 teenagers in your house. You basically spend your mortgage on food every month. So
I just have one mouth to feed, and it's a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, but I encourage people to not restrict themselves on a budget, but to document where their funds are going, just so they're informed. It's kind of eye-opening. How much money do you spend at Starbucks or on Amazon orders or going through drive-thrus when you're running around places, right?
Right. It adds up.
If you acknowledge that it's happening, sometimes you just realize, okay, I'm going to cut back on some of those things because I'd rather cook at home with the family, or I'd rather go out to dinner than to have an extra, gourmet coffee from someplace.
Right.
But maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you're like, hey, I love the coffee and I couldn't forego eating out. And that's okay too. It's just a matter of informing the family dynamic of where the funds are going,
Right.
so that you can make wise decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it adds up quickly when we don't name it. But then, like you said, something else may be more of a priority. A date night might be more exciting than that cup of joe or not. So
Exactly. Yeah, and I've worked with spouses before, and she'll write down her expenditures and he'll write down his. And he's like, how much did you spend on Amazon? And she's like, how much were you spending on, whatever it is? And they're like, oh, wow. And so then they can both come to the table and say, hey, let's compromise. Let's budget and set a limit for those fun things that we like to do, so that we can provide for additional expenses that the family now that's growing is going to, result in.
yes.
So,
And you also mentioned like updating things, right? We just get hired for a job and they fill out all these forms. We're just living life and we forget to go back and say there's now a new dependent or a new beneficiary.
right.
So how important is it to update that stuff?
So I think it's extremely important, especially when adding kids. So you might actually come out ahead if you update like your tax withholding on a paycheck,
Oh, okay.
because you've got an additional dependent that is another write-off, or you want to list them as a beneficiary, or even just adding them to your insurance. You have a small window of time to get that accomplished, so that there's not problems with the insurance company. And from personal experience, like when we added our son Ethan, we call him Ethan, but that's not his legal name. And so it
Okay.
created a whole bunch of just chaos with the insurance company and going back and forth about which kid it was and which claims were filed under what, because the hospital didn't have his name when he was born, so he was baby DeVault. And so all these claims came through that were denied. And so we were like, no, we did add him. And we had to go back and prove that this person who existed in 4 different medical charts was really our kid.
And one kid.
And one child, right? But had we waited until all of that came up to try to add him, he wouldn't have had coverage back at the beginning from the date of his birth. So it's really important to, I would say, plan ahead to get those things done. Find out what forms you need to fill out ahead of time. Get them filled out.
Yeah.
And then
Submit them.
as soon as you get home from the hospital or, what have you, send them in, or, so
Now-
that it's taken care
Now,
of.
this is mostly insurance, like medical insurance, but you mentioned life insurance. Some people
Yeah.
might not have that at all. How crucial is it once you become a parent?
Yeah, I think that having life insurance when you're married and without kids is super important. And then when you add a child who is literally dependent on you for everything,
Everything.
right? The exponential increase of importance for life insurance is just there, and you can't deny it, but it's a very unfun, morbid conversation to have with someone.
Yeah.
You don't want to call your financial advisor and be like, hey, I want to talk about what happens if I die.
Right.
That doesn't sound great.
No.
But if you position it from, I want to have a conversation about how we're going to care for insert child's name. How are we going to care for Emma and Ethan and, what have you, in the event that something makes it where you and Lily can't.
Right.
That sounds really personal, very nurturing,
Yeah.
so updating those things and just realizing that now you've got more time that somebody needs taken care of that they can't take care of themselves. So if I passed away, it would be devastating for the family because my income is gone.
Right.
So I need to make sure that I have enough life insurance so that the family can continue life, because Lily probably can't go to work with 5 kids at home.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of dads are in that same situation, right? As many
Yeah.
being the provider. So it's crucial that they're aware that if their company offers it, to take advantage of it, or to seek help from someone like yourself to sign up for something like that.
Yeah, and I have often seen clients come in and they're like, I have life insurance taken care of. I have it at work. I think that is amazing. If you have a company that offers those benefits, grab them. They're super cheap. They're easy to get through because there's no underwriting requirements.
Okay.
But my caution to clients is that shouldn't be your primary insurance, because your job situation can change. The company benefits can change from year to year. And you're never any younger, and you're not usually healthier than today. So if you secure life insurance on your own outside of that company-sponsored plan, you have total control over what's going on. You're not at the mercy of the employer saying, oh yeah, well, we've doubled our rates, we've cut our coverage in half, we've just decided for, budget purposes to eliminate that benefit completely, or the company gets bought out, or you get a really great job offer that sounds great on the outside, but when you finally move over, they don't offer the same benefits. And now you're 10 years older and life insurance is expensive.
Yes. So is it something that increases with age, you're saying?
It can. So it depends on the type of policy, and to get into the specifics of all of that would just drown out, I think, the purpose of this conversation. But as you age, acquiring new insurance gets more expensive.
Gotcha.
As you get less healthy, which typically happens with age, that also couples an increase in cost. So you get older and more unhealthy, then the cost is just going to go up even more.
So that's one of those things to do while you're young.
Yes. And having that conversation with a professional who not only understands the insurance side of things, but also all the financial aspects of that,
right,
I believe is really important, because they can couple not only like your budget and your lifestyle and your assets and everything into that at play, but then they're also licensed on the insurance side to understand the different dynamics of types of policies, dollar amounts of coverage that are needed depending on what you're trying to accomplish with it.
Right.
And so just having a solid financial person who can help you with that, like we do with our clients, is going to, I believe, just add a lot more value than just 1-800 insurance company that sells you something that's low cost, no frills.
Right.
It sounds too good to be true. It probably is.
Or like you're saying, a blanket offering that your company may offer that may not meet all of the things specific to your lifestyle and financials.
Exactly.
When people do welcome a new baby, they want to be home with that child. So that creates a lot of changes in family dynamics of being able to stay home. Some jobs are getting better with giving dads time off. And then there's also the childcare aspect. So how do you help your clients navigate through understanding that process?
Yeah, so from a financial perspective, we usually know that a baby's coming ahead of time.
Yep. 9 months we got. Hopefully.
Hopefully around 9 months or
yeah.
so. And so we just start making adjustments. We start saying, okay, are we financially capable to live off of a single income, or one in a part-time income, kind of a situation. Right. And I tell people all the time, we just let math make a lot of decisions for those things instead of emotion.
Gotcha.
Because emotions are fickle.
Yes.
And they can change from one moment to the next. And so if you're the spouse that's going to stay home, and the income that you're going to be able to provide by going to work, 80% of it's drained by childcare costs and then taxes and things of that nature, we're really looking at it and going, how much are you actually adding budgetary wise to things for that extra 20% on top?
Right.
And so I just do the math, and then they look at those numbers and like, oh wow, if I work 40 hours a week and I'm only bringing home X number of dollars, is that worth it?
Right.
That's the emotional decision. Sometimes it's a financial necessity that extra 20% just has to be there to make things work. Other times that 20% is just a buffer on top. And so then families can make the decision, are we going to have a spouse stay home and just forego the income and reduce, budgetary spending by that margin that was on top, and then just kind of go from there. But also seeking the right phone calls to your human resources department at work to say, what are the resources available?
Yeah.
Can I take paid leave, partially paid leave, unpaid leave? What happens if I decide to come back? And referring those people again to other partners in our industries that are kind of on the outside, right? Tax professionals, legal professionals are really important in some of those cases, because you might be dealing with a not normal pregnancy, not normal delivery, extenuating circumstance, and you need to just have a legal mind look at your options and say, here's the path that you need to take.
Right.
Or we look at the tax stuff, because it's not just dollars that you make on a paycheck, it's what that does to your overall financial picture from a tax side of things. So I like to bring those people like into the fold. It's like a multi-legged stool approach, if you will. And if all three legs,
So
legal,
hopefully
tax,
there's no
and-
surprises at the end.
yeah, exactly. So like those things are all holding you up.
Right.
But if you don't know what questions to ask or even who to go to, sometimes you just won't ask them, and you're just gonna, go to your direct supervisor. They might not be the best resource. We've all experienced that.
Yes.
That person we work directly under really
Yeah.
doesn't know what we need them to know.
No.
So it's like, okay, you're not circumventing them or going above their head. You're just going to the right path.
Right.
So what questions to ask and what resources to look for. And again, everybody's benefits are going to be different. So it sounds scary to tell somebody, well, see if you qualify for short-term disability.
Right.
Because I don't think having a kid is a disability.
No.
But that's just sometimes what it falls under.
Under.
From a coverage perspective.
Right.
But people wouldn't ask for that.
Yeah.
If you didn't have somebody say, hey, find out if that's what it is. Because I remember when I had our first kid, I was out on short-term disability pay
Nice.
when Emma was born. And I thought, this is just like, it sounds degrading.
Yeah.
But Lily was so happy. She was like, this is the best short-term disability ever.
Right, because moms need that support.
Yeah.
And I think dads sometimes forget to ask to see if it is available with their benefits because, like you're saying, the way the wording is titled now.
Right.
Some companies are getting better with parental leave, and we have Family Medical Leave Act and all of that helps. But yeah, it's important to ask those questions.
Yeah, because I don't know that I've ever seen paternity leave listed in a benefits package. Because it's just not a thing. I don't even think they list maternity leave either. It's just almost understood that
Yeah.
it's necessary. But again, asking the right questions, or just saying, if I have a child, what are all of my options?
Yeah.
And not to be afraid or embarrassed, because nothing bad's going to happen if you just ask the question.
Right.
So
So communication is definitely key in
Yeah.
all of this.
absolutely.
So one of the things that I think is important, and you shared with me before, is something about an emergency fund, especially when having children, because anything could happen. They fall and break an arm,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
slice their head open. There's all these things that just come
Especially
with
if you
kids.
have boys.
Yeah, especially with boys. You can relate. So, establishing that emergency fund is important. How do you guide people into recognizing that and knowing how much, how little?
Yeah, I think there's some pretty standard guidelines that allow people to create a baseline. And then it always falls back on personal comfort level.
Right.
So anywhere from like 3 to 6 months of your expenses, not your income, but your outflow.
Right.
Is a good baseline to have there. Because then if something happens to your job and your income stream stops, you can keep things going moderately for 3 to 6 months. If you look at those numbers and you're like, that's not enough, I don't feel safe, then we can have a conversation about increasing that. But on the flip side, I also don't want clients to be scared and to have too much of their money kind of sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
Right? We all work hard for our money. We want our money to work hard for us.
Yes.
So if too much is on the sideline, then you've worked too hard for too little to work for you.
Right.
So it's a balancing act, but I don't want somebody to be awake at night worried because there's not enough cash in the bank,
Right.
in their savings account, or what have you. So 3 to 6 months of expenses is a good place to start. And then obviously as you add children and those expenses increase, that emergency savings needs to kind of go up in conjunction with them. And then also, I think the big thing that I've seen across the board is if the emergency happens, it's okay to spend the emergency money.
Thanks. I need that reminder myself.
It's not every day that, all 4 tires on your car blow
Right.
because you ran over somebody's box of nails that fell off the back of the truck.
Right.
That's an emergency. Like,
Yeah.
you need tires on your car.
Yes.
Grab the cash from the emergency fund, go put tires on your car, and then over the next, few months,
Put it
pay
back.
yourself back.
Yeah.
Don't go into debt to pay for the tires so that your cash stays in the savings account.
Yeah.
I see that happen too often. I'm like, but the whole point of the emergency money is when there's an emergency that you have it to spend.
Right.
So,
It can be a mental struggle. I'm there sometimes.
yes. And that especially happens, I know we're talking about like kids, but especially happens like grandparents. grandparents might have emergency funds set aside that they want to like help their kids with if something's going on with the grandchild or whatever. But when they're in that retirement mode, they're like, is this really an emergency? But, you know, depending on how close your family is,
Right.
sometimes those things are going to happen. So it's just like that mental
Yeah.
ability to say, yeah, this truly is an emergency. That's what this cash is set aside for. It's okay to spend it.
Yeah. It goes back to the math, doing the math and the emotions kind of quieting down for a second.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't let the fear of money coming out of the emergency fund rid you of using the math equation that the money is there for that.
Exactly.
I like that. Education's another big one, right? So-
Education is a hot topic for people, and oftentimes I have found that people fall into one of two categories.
Okay.
I paid for it myself, my kids can pay for it themselves, or my parents paid my way and I want to pay their way.
I think there's a third one though too. Sometimes like I had to pay for it myself, and I don't want my children to have to fall into that one. Every
Yeah,
once
and
in
then
a while.
like that middle
Yeah.
road is not as often.
Yeah.
But it happens. And so I think one of the things, again, is communication with your spouse. What do we want to do? And also realizing that anything that you do from an educational planning perspective is going to give your kid a boost in that situation. You don't have to plan for 12 years of medical school.
Right.
Even if it's just, hey, we want to set aside money for a couple of years to get them through their associate's degree.
Mhm.
Or we want to have enough money to make sure that they can pay for tuition, but they're going to have to figure out how to live.
Right.
So there's some balancing act that you can do. And there's some tools and resources that are out there that we offer. And I'm sure you can Google most things, like the average cost of attendance in a public university for a year or 2 years or 4 years,
Right.
and room and board and things. So again, we do math.
Yeah.
And we say, okay, what's the end goal? How much do we think we're going to need? And then we reverse engineer that back down to say, okay, here's that big number. Sometimes it's too big,
Yeah.
you know, and we have to be realistic, right? Mom and dad need to take care of mom and dad of the family today.
Yep.
Before they plan for something for tomorrow.
Right. Or
'Cause
18 years down the
Or
road.
18 years down the road, right? If don't put money in your kid's college fund and not eat tonight.
Right.
That doesn't make sense
No.
because the math doesn't work.
Right.
So don't get caught up in the emotions of, I want my kid to go to college and I want to pay for it at all costs. Because at the end of the day, sometimes your kid's not going to go to college.
Right.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
There's a lot of jobs out there that are wonderful. They pay great and we all need them.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't need college for. You just need vocational education or proper training and certifications and things. And some of that college planning doesn't fit that mold.
Right.
So don't, I tell people, don't force yourself to do something because society says that it's normal. Talk to your spouse, talk to your kids when they get older.
Yeah.
Find out if it's something that they want to do, and then go from there. And if you are doing it, that's a great place to bring the rest of the family into like that planning picture. Because
Yeah, and have grandparents contribute.
I
Aunts and
I would have
uncles.
much rather have had money into a college fund for our kids than toys when they're 2 years old
Right? That they don't even remember.
that they don't play with anymore. They don't remember,
They
and they
don't
just
remember.
collected dust or made a mess on the living room floor.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's just a nice way to bless the future of a child without clogging up mom and dad's living room.
Yes. Very true. So sometimes a lot of people think, well, I have to have money to even talk to somebody like you. And I think that's a stigma. If you're making money, you need to know where your money's going and what you're doing, right? So how do you navigate with people like that just have questions?
Yeah, so on a general rule of thumb, right, we, as myself and our team, we're looking to work with clients that want to build wealth,
Right.
or have established wealth.
Right.
So I think it's always worth exploration of that conversation. Here's what we want to accomplish. Let's try to find a professional that we can partner with to, do that. And different ones are going to offer different services. So it's not a one size fits all. Not every person is a good fit for my practice.
Right.
And my practice isn't a good fit for every person. Like doctors and lawyers and tax people, they all have their speciality that they
Right.
work with. But there is somebody out there for everyone,
Right.
you know, and if you're just beginning that process and you're putting small amounts of money away toward building wealth, there's somebody out there who can help you with that.
Right.
If you've got tens of millions of dollars, there's somebody out there that can help you with that too.
Right.
Right. And it's just a matter of asking those questions and not to be embarrassed, because that person with tens of millions of dollars started with their first
Right.
$1
Yep.
of savings, and it's grown exponentially, you know. So I don't think that people need to be scared or embarrassed to have that phone call and have that conversation. It's just a matter of, it's like if I interview a client and they're not a good fit, I'll try to find them somebody that is. If they interview me and I'm not a good fit, that's okay too.
Yeah.
They just need to go interview somebody else.
Right.
Right.
Don't end it there.
Yeah, don't just say, "Oh, it didn't work once. I'm done. I'm beyond help."
Right.
Right? So there is somebody out there that is a good fit for all these clients or all the people in our community that want assistance, and they just need to ask those right questions.
I like that. Is there anything else you want to share with us today?
I think again, just going back to conversations. So if you are already involved with somebody who's helping you with your finances, make sure that they're aware of what's happening, the changes that are upcoming. You know, the last thing that I want is a client to call me and say, "My baby was born yesterday. Help me plan."
Right.
I'm like, "That's awesome. Congratulations. We've missed out on 9 months of planning time," right? So just be upfront about those things. And if any of my clients called me and said, "Hey, we're expecting a baby," I'm going to be elated for them.
Right.
Right. And let's figure out what we need to do and celebrate that together and start that planning process from the beginning.
Right.
Because it's always easier to plan ahead
Yes.
than it is to try to plan
Backwards.
backwards.
Yeah. Especially like, don't tell me your seniors graduating and going off to college if we've never spoken about college. the
Yeah,
last
and ask
18
me where we're
years.
gonna get money to pay for college when
Yeah.
we've never had that conversation. You know,
So yeah,
absolutely.
communication's key between the partners, the spouses, and then with someone like yourself who's already handling it or finding something to help them kind of bridge those gaps.
Right. Yeah. Navigating those changes is always better with a team of people that are supporting you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, Alex, thanks so much for being here. Tell me, how can people find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my office is in Rockledge here in Brevard County, and the easiest thing to do is just call the office, and someone on my team will get an appointment scheduled, and we can meet, you know, over the phone or in person. We service clients all throughout the county, throughout the state, and we actually have clients all over the country.
I love that.
So it's depending on how you want to interact with us, we're able to do that, you know, phone, Zoom meetings, in person. So it's just really easy. We try to make that process very simple for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much.